Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Golden Win Geekout. I'm your host, Danny. Got my co-host, Ryan, with me.
Hey, how's it going?
And let's talk about episode 27, King Crimson versus Metallica. And, oh my god, David Production, I am so proud. I'm so proud to see that this fight was given its proper justice, I was like, last week we were concerned about the gore, and don't get me wrong, we were still getting a lot of gore here, but even some of the artistic choices that you went about presenting some elements here, I mean, that's like, holy crap, man. That's like, this has got to be like one of the like coolest animated fights I've seen these guys do in this part.
Oh yeah, the entirety of the fight, like the direction they took with the whole thing, very well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's like for starters, like, so when we're introduced to Epitaph, or Eulogy, as, we pointed out last week that was its dub name. Now, is this just me? But, the actual forecasting that Epitaph is doing, where Doppio's looking and seeing, like, the footage through his hair, is it just me? Or does, like, the effect that they did to simulate that look very similar to, like, what was it, all the way back in episode 2 when Giorno was hitting Bucciolotti with his with the gold experience? Because if you remembered, that was when, like, he basically, like, he fucks around with your mind, and you had that really weird effect. Like, everything around went bright. You were seeing, like, yeah, you were seeing, like, weird blurring effects and shit. It's like, I don't know, was anyone else reminded of that, or is that just me?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could see the similarities, like when you initially brought it up when we were watching the episode. So it's like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that.
I mean, I get it that they're trying, it has to replicate, like, you're actually looking at a screen. Because, I mean, that is what Epitaph is, but that's what the point of Epitaph is. But it just really reminds me of that, and I don't know. I just really liked that effect. Like, I remember, like, back, like, in the beginning of the Golden Wind Geek Out when we were first talking about this, how I just thought that was such a cool idea to really show, like, the effect of Gold Experience, of what it has on someone is to, fuck around with, special effects and shit. And it's like, I don't know, I guess I just really missed that.
Right.
Yeah, so it was like, so that I thought was cool. When and then when you've got obviously you got Risotto Nero with his camouflaging, where he's going Metal Gear all up in here, it was, really cool, like, because again, it's not just like, oh, we're just seeing an outline or something, like, they were actually doing, like, some weird blurring effects and shit to, like, show that it's like, okay, yeah, he's invisible, but, we, the audience, can still tell where he is, because of, like, the slight blurs, popping
Yeah,
out
yeah,
from
yeah.
the
This massive
foreground.
blending effect that David Productions like used, yeah, just so that it could seem like, yeah, exactly. We could still tell exactly where Risotto was at in this shot, while he was still completely invisible.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was like, so that was pretty cool. I also really liked, like, pretty much once Risotto was explaining, like, really the devastating effects of Metallica. Like, yes, he explains about how, it's all centered around the mineral iron, and, when he's pulling iron out, be it from the ground or be it from within people, he's basically using magnetism to draw it out. So, when he's explaining all of this and he starts talking about how, the iron in our blood is what helps bring oxygen into our blood. But since he's converting it into, razors and pins and scissors and all that other fun stuff, that, yeah, if the fact that you're having these metal objects pulled out of your head doesn't kill you, the fact that your body is literally being deprived of oxygen and is practically suffocating itself, that will kill you. And he even made a point about how your blood turns from, like, red to, like, this real sickly yellow. And even then, like, you could actually see, like, all of a sudden, like, the blood that's been stained all over Doppio's face and shirt took on this, like, really cool-looking gradient, you know, to simulate that, you know, yes, it's being oxygen-starved. So it was like, I just thought that was so cool.
Oh yeah, I strongly agree that looked killer. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm a sucker for the gradient looks and shit whenever they did, like, the color swaps, you know, as we've said multiple times, like, especially with Narancia, you know, I'm a real big sucker for playing around with the gradients and the palettes and shit. But, oh man, I just thought that was a really nice touch. I mean, it's like, they literally, all they could have done is just recolor it from red to yellow and just leave it at that. But no, they decided to add some further gradients and textures onto it to make it stand out and look even more gross.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so that's where I was like, goddamn, David Production. You know, it's like very well handled. And I'd say, yeah, we're in the clear now. Because, I mean, it's like, you know, don't get me wrong, there's still some, you know, nasty bits and shit that'll happen throughout the remainder of this part, but this really is the worst that it gets. And considering, you know, that we have gotten this uncensored and everything, it's like, we should not be seeing any moments of censorship whatsoever throughout the remaining of this fight. Because really, after this, there is no reason why anything else should be censored, because nothing gets as nearly as bad as this.
You know, speaking of censorship, like, I know technically the fight was, like, even from the last episode until now, it was pretty much 100% uncensored, which is great. But I don't know if it's just me, but even I noticed, like, some subtle signs of censorship. Not so much like where they blacked something out, like, you know, Giorno's fucking gash in his freaking leg.
or the infamous Jotaro smoking a cigarette during the Derby fight.
Yes, that. But
I was like, yeah, we are never gonna let that shit go.
No, we're not. Unless if you buy the Blu-ray version. But even then, it's like it reminds me of this moment, like we see like Risotto like forming scissors or whatever, you know, in Doppio's throat or something. Or something happens with his throat or something, and you would think that if they really wanted to go all out with the uncensored gore or something, they would just leave out the shot where we could see Doppio's throat or like the scissors like coming out of his throat like clear as day or whatever. But I think it's like when the moment Doppio removes the scissors, we get another shot where we see, like, the side of Doppio from a distance with blood, like, coming out of his throat. But we don't actually see, like the scissors, like, literally coming out of the throat, like, in their entirety or whatnot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Because, yeah, I'm rewinding and I'm watching that. It's like, I can see where you're going from. It's like, yeah, rather than actually showing, like, the extraction, because I believe they do show the extraction in the manga, they just did a different camera angle.
Yeah, it's like that kind of censorship, like, I can get behind. Like, if they...
I'll take a different camera angle over a freaking shadow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like that. It's like that's actually like using more like dynamic camera angles, like as another advantage, as opposed to, you know, just making like the scene like look cooler or whatever. You know, that's a really good way of using dynamic camera angles, you know, to accomplish like other tasks that you would think they would probably do something else to accomplish another task, like in this case using black shadows to censor, you know, gore or other inappropriate stuff. So yeah, it's like I mean, I noticed that, and it's like, okay, kudos to you, David Productions, for taking that approach with censorship. Again, I would take that over shadows, just as long as you don't overuse that method of censorship too much, because it's like, because again, regardless of such, it is still considered censorship, and just like what Danny and I have established before, you know, if you keep censoring the good stuff that you would expect to see in the manga, the impact would be gone.
Right. Okay. But it's like, but like I said, like I think for the most part we should be in the clear, like because yeah, pretty much like yeah. I mean, throughout the remainder of this part, it's like yes, there's still some fights left to go, but yeah, they're not nearly as gory as the Risotto Nero and Doppio fight. So that's where it's like there should be no reason why we should ever see any more like instances of like censorship throughout the remainder of this part. It's like if we do, I would be very, very surprised, but we really shouldn't.
Right.
Alrighty. So yeah. So with that said, so we do see a new scene that was added, and so if you remember, what was it? I think what was it? Maybe like 2 episodes ago or something. It was when the boss he made a comment about how shortly after when Donatella died, some of Passione's people, they found Trish and immediately grabbed her, and that was when they were starting to bring her. Initially, they were bringing her over to Polpo, but then, as we all know, Polpo died, so she fell into Bucciolati's hands. But if you remembered, he said, like, immediately after that happened, her and Donatella's house, it was ransacked. So now we get to see the actual ransacking. So this was completely new. So in the anime, we see that, we see La Squadra. They're literally tearing this house apart, looking for any and all clues. And yes, they completely overlook the photo that the boss was like, oh shit, this is the photo that anyone can use to identify me. They completely overlook it. But as they're going through and they're trying to like find any clues, they're talking amongst themselves. They're bringing up, what happened with sorbet and gelato, and Risotto Nero comes in and he's saying, we have to put what happened to them behind us. We cannot afford to get, caught up in our emotions about their deaths, because as soon as we do, we're going to end up getting killed. So basically it's like, we got to steel ourselves. So that is a brand new scene that was added into the anime. Surprisingly enough, I was actually kind of surprised. I kind of figured if anything, they would probably dedicate a couple of minutes to this, because even I have to admit, I forget this. We technically do get a backstory behind Risotto Nero himself in the manga. I think the reason why I tend to forget about this is it was not an illustrated backstory. It was literally like, I forgot what the chapter number is, but I will gladly show you the picture here. It's literally like the chapter cover, and it's literally like a paragraph that gives like a very abridged version as to Risotto's backstory. So in Risotto's backstory, you see that at some point when he was younger, he and his cousin, they were walking somewhere, and his cousin gets killed by a hit-and-run driver. And the driver, does get caught and is sentenced to prison, but as soon as he serves his sentence and comes out, Risotto Nero is waiting for him and kills him right then and there. And that's pretty much what starts Risotto's, little job as being an assassin. He eventually finds his way into Passione, ends up getting Metallica, and ends up forming La Squadra. That is like the most bare-bone backstory you can get, because like I said, it's literally like a paragraph. I was kind of half expecting that maybe they'd animate that a little bit, or at least mention it, but no, they decided to completely ignore Risotto's backstory in favor of this new scene with him and La Squadra ransacking the house. So it's like, that's kind of an interesting approach.
Yeah, it was a rather interesting choice, because it's like, on one hand, it's like, okay, it probably would have been really cool if, they actually, animate a little bit of a Risotto's backstory to get an idea on this character, but on the other hand, though, the way, adding, bringing in this brand new flashback, I don't know, I feel like with the flashback, it's more plot driven. if that makes any sense. Like, it's like, okay, it probably would have been pretty cool to see, like, the leader of La Squadra, you know, like, what was his backstory like. But then again, if I recall correctly, I don't recall, like, getting, I don't think we got, like, any other forms of backstory, you know, with the other members of the squadron, like with the same levels of, like, say, you know, like what we saw with Giorno, Bruno, like pretty much all the rest of Passione or whatever, you know, with Bruno's gang.
Technically, Risotto in the manga was the only one that got any sense of a backstory in the manga. The rest of La Squadra, not so much.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's like, with that being said, I can see why David Productions took that approach or whatever. Because with adding this brand new flashback, yeah, it involves more of the plot or whatever. If they went so far as to go with this supposed backstory from the paragraph that you would see in the manga, it wouldn't bring so much to the table. I mean, if that was the case, they might as well have done the exact same thing with the other member of La Squadra, which they clearly did not.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's like, is it absolutely necessary to know Risotto Nero's backstory? Not really.
Not really. I mean, he's a cool villain, but it's like, yeah, the importance of knowing what his backstory is like, it's not really all that important, really.
Right, but it's like at the same time, it was like, I was kind of half expecting them to, even if it was just like a minor little mention of it or something. Because I mean, after all, this was the guy that essentially formed La Squadra. So it was like, I don't know. Dang it, I don't know. Maybe I just really fucking love La Squadra. So it's like, I was really happy. I was just really happy to see all these guys again show up now, and with Risotto Nero being dead now, it's like, that's it. That's now the end of La Squadra. So it's like, we should.
Yep.
We're not seeing these guys again.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so other than that, like, pretty much the remainder of this episode pretty much does play out beat for beat, for the remainder of the fight. So, nothing really new added or anything outside of the flashbacks. So, it's like, I gotta say, like, I know Ryan and I, like, we were commenting about, like, the color swap, like, the color swap right when Aerosmith shoots up Risotto Nero. It was like, not just Risotto, not just Doppio, but even Bruno, Abbacchio, and Narancia, they all got, like, this, like, really, like, dark color palette swap. It was like, it's like, what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of, like, what is it? Like, Smash Brothers Ultimate, where everybody's got, like, a black color scheme in their color palette choices. It's like, okay, here's the black color swap for everybody here. And it's like, they just pull them all out at once just for this one moment.
Oh, God. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, and I think
that's actually a really good comparison.
And I think the only reason why I even made that comparison is just because Joker came out. So it's like, of course, Smash is on everyone's mind again.
Yeah, the closest thing we're ever going to get to a quote-unquote JoJo character in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, really.
A character with not a stand, but with a persona.
It's the same fucking thing. I mean,
no, it's not!
That's what it is. It's the same fucking thing.
No, it's not. One's a persona, the other's a stand. Where do you think they get the personas from?
I know.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Alright, so I'm trying to think. So as far as this fight goes, is there anything else that we need to, that you want to bring up?
Well, okay. Well, as opposed to the fight, it's like, oh man, look, I was really digging, like, more of the interactions between Doppio and the boss, like with, like, the strategic planning that the boss was giving to Doppio, to the more obscure, like signs of the boss like trying to take over, with the facial expressions and how his body was like trying to take control, because it's like, okay, all right, clearly you're in no state to fight at this point. Give me a few seconds. I'm gonna be there shortly to finish him off.
Yeah.
Only for Doppio to, get the confidence that he needed to, try to take it upon himself to try to finish him off.
Yeah. Yes, that was cool.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, some of the facial expressions that Doppio was making while he was communicating with the boss. It's like that's gotta be like jump scare material. I'm just saying.
That one face. That one face where it's like, I don't know how the hell to describe it.
Well, his eyes got...
It's like...
Yeah, go ahead.
His eyes got huge. He's gritting his teeth. It's like, it's like, I don't know, what would happen if you threw Doppio in the middle of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria? That's probably what it would look like.
It's like with his eyes getting bigger, it's like if he really was turning into Gollum.
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is just like cut that facial expression, paste it on Gollum, and then there you go.
It's like, seriously, you guys better make a fucking meme out of that face. It's like, I will be disappointed if we do not get a meme out of that face.
Yeah, really. Then again,
if you can make fucking Pulpo into a meme, you can make that into a meme.
God, you know what? I'll bet you anything. I'm fairly sure they've already been making like memes, like when we first saw King Crimson, after he pretty much offed Bruno, and we see all these like angry facial expressions from King Crimson alone.
Right. Alrighty, so, okay, so with that said, so now that fight is over, I guess we can briefly talk about, the next fight. Admittedly, I hesitate to say if it's going to start next week, because, yes, we do, next week's gonna be another big episode, but I don't really know, okay, where is David Production going to go with it? Or how much time they're going to dedicate to it. So it's very possible that they can at least maybe get into the beginning of the fight, or they may save that for 2 weeks from now. So I can't really say, but regardless, let's just go on ahead and just briefly talk about the next damn fight that we will be running into.
Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how.
So the next fight, it's going to be another duo fight. Well, not necessarily duo fight. We have our last two members of the boss's elite guard. They get introduced at the same time, and even though they're introduced at the same time, technically they don't fight together like with Squalo and Tiziano. It's more like it is more like Prosciutto and Pesci, where they're introduced at the same time, but one fight we see first, and then we see the second person follow immediately afterwards. So, all right, so the stands, because we got to try and predict name changes again.
Oh my God, that's right. Yes, we have yet to get potential substitute names for the next set of stands. Yes,
yeah, we don't know.
We can start predicting again.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to be called. So again, in the original Japanese, the next two stands that we're going to be introduced to are Green Day and Oasis. So
okay,
now it's
right.
just, okay, we got to figure out, okay, what are they going to call? What are they going to call them? Like, I figure they're going to go down the synonym route. So it's like Oasis might be something like what, like
Lake.
Sanctuary or
Oh.
Paradise or Lake or something. I don't know, because like, I mean, that's pretty much what an Oasis is.
Yeah.
And then as for Green Day, I kind of get the feeling that maybe like Day is going to end up getting a synonym. Like maybe like what, like Green Morning or like Green Noon or something, like
Green
I
Light.
I kind of suspect that that's what's going to happen. Is we're going to get a synonym for morning, not morning, for day.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that that's where they're going into. But I know for a fact, Ryan, I know the next fight you're really looking forward to. Because I remembered even when we read the manga, I do remember you really liking the next fight. Yeah. The next fight, I know, is another one that a lot of people are waiting for. And it's not necessarily for the fight itself so much as how the fight ends.
Yes.
It's like that's what everyone's waiting for. We're waiting for seeing how is David Production going to handle the ending of the fight. And I'm just going to leave it at that because I dare not spoil it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's just like, my God, man. Again, I don't know when. Again, I can't say when the next fight will take place. It's entirely possible that we might get the beginning of it next week. But, again, going by from what I remember in the manga, it's entirely possible that we won't be seeing anything regarding the next stand fight at all next week. And it might be the week after.
Right, yeah. Honestly, I'm thinking, and again, folks, don't take my word for it. Like, don't quote me on this. Again, this is just a big guess. I'm gonna say probably within another 2 to 3 weeks from now.
Yeah. I honestly kind of hope that, we'll get it 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, two weeks from now, that's where we're definitely gonna get the start of the next fight. And then 3 weeks from now, I'll bet you anything that's when the first set of fights is gonna end.
Yeah. But it's like, but honestly, it's like, yeah, consider, like, because like we said, next week, the next episode is going to be another really big one. Lots of important shit's going to happen next week too. And I kind of just want next week to be dedicated solely to that.
Yeah.
And then let's have the fight be the week after that. Let's dedicate as much time as possible for next week. Because we're gonna get a lot of things are gonna happen. We're gonna get some new information. More so moving into the final confrontation. We're really close to getting towards the final battle.
I agree.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff that's gonna be happening, next week, and I want next week to focus solely on those, and let's push the fight off 2 weeks from now. I mean, let's keep our fingers crossed that that's the direction they'll go with.
Yeah, really. It's like we just finished one fight. It's like, okay, there should be no reason to just rush into the next fight or whatever, especially, with what information we're going to be getting for the next episode. So yeah, it's like, no, I agree. It's like, let's focus on this next piece of information that we're going to get next episode. Like, take a break from fighting or whatever until, say, maybe a couple weeks from now at the earliest.
Yeah. All right, so I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we might have missed?
Nothing on the top of my head right now, so I think we're good.
Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this gore-tastic fight as much as we did. And we will see you guys next week.
All right, see you guys then.